Hello, everyone, and welcome to HRL IndyHog finale at Hoguna Seca. Round number 15 on the Futchin season. You know the rules. 12 laps, 25 checkpoints. Let's go through the starting lineup. Armada, fresh, full of KFC on the right. Fireball on the left. Camby, Roman, Hunter, Soul, Solange, Detail, and Luke get a little bit jumbled there at the end, but yeah, that's the lineup. Here we go. We're about to go green, and we're green. We're gonna switch it up. We're gonna do an onboard start. I just made that decision on the Flizzeye, and we're getting into Moto 2. That wasn't a very good one. Let me try again. I'm not impressed with my slurps tonight. So Camby just got absolutely lag bubbled on the outside right there. I'm not really sure how that happened. But this is the starts are some of my favorite parts of the racing on this track because the pack racing on this track is absolutely insane. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach the sections here on Hoguna Seca, and yeah, it makes the pack racing a fuck ton of fun. So starts are really fun and going to be really intense as well, because you're going to have all these drivers vying for position here, trying to get up to the front as quickly as they can. And Hunter is actually making a charge here, and he's taking the lead, takes it from Armada in the corkscrew. Big move from Hunter, and that's huge because, again, I've been covering it. Hunter's been on a really good second half of the season. I'd say that's probably one of the surprises of the season for people. Hunter's had a straight-up very strong second half. Getting his first overall since frickin' H5 Season 4. He said that. I didn't double-check it. I'm pretty sure he is right, though. So that's crazy. He gets his first overall in that long-ass period of time. Gets a win in there. Gets more than, a couple top 3 overalls as well. Really good performances from him, and he's off to another solid start here. So we'll see if he can hold on to it at Hoguna. Because, of course, a lot of his performances have been on the ovals. A lot of his gains have been on the ovals. That's where he's been really strong, and he's had good performances. Like Lafayette, he had a good performance, but the road courses, even with his stronger second half of the season, it hasn't been his forte. Detail with a big run on the outside right here, and this is what I was talking about. We're seeing some great pack racing here. It's Solange, Armada, Luke, and Detail, and again, they're still going to be duking it out because even though the main championship is done, there is still that road course side quest to go for as well. And yeah, it's pretty sweet. Armada is in the mix here. Solange is trying his best to get around him, but he just can't quite do it. Armada with a big dive to the inside, keeping it alive. Detail can't quite clear Luke. Camby's now entering the fray as well. He's right there on the back. See if he can enter the conversation. Hunter still leading and doing it. Oh, Solange with a big dive on Armada. Meanwhile, it's Roman in second place with Fireball in third behind him. See some of the different lines here. But yeah, Solange, he's just trying his hardest, man. He is clearly going for the moves. We got the moves. And he just can't quite get there. Luke with maybe a big run. Has to back out of it. Now he finally does it. Solange completes the pass on Armada. And Luke maybe going for it as well. A 2-for-1 special on Armada 223. Potentially, but maybe not here if he can defend in the corkscrew. Not going to be able to. He's going to lose another position there. So now Detail going to try to get by Armada as well. Armada going back quickly, not having it on this track. Armada, I feel bad for his season. We even saw it in some of the highlights in the retrospect trailer that I did. Oh, Pitt's coming in already too. Armada with a lot of good opportunities on some of the oval races in the season, a lot of good opportunities for wins. And this is a situation. This is a situation. So I was talking about the situation. This is another funny situation here. Fireball, of course, it is legal. And he is barely technically in his box right there, but he's taking up a lot of real estate in Detail's pit. And Detail tries his hardest to get his 2 tires in right there. and not quite going to be able to do it. Now, obviously, if he didn't have Fireball there, he probably could have easily gotten it in, but got a little bit cheesed on that one. So that's a funny scenario there. I'm surprised that didn't happen more. I mean, I guess it makes sense with the pit strategy and like people coming in at different times and, you know, usually spreading out the boxes a little bit, but I'm surprised that didn't happen more throughout the season. I feel like that's something that I expected to see a lot more, like some cheesy pit scenarios like that, and we didn't see too many of them. Maybe a couple here or there that I can remember, but that was mostly like, I don't know, that was mostly like people pitting in front of people. It wasn't really like covering the box as much, I feel like. So I don't know. There's just something like oddly specific that I just expected to see more of that. Camby with a big run, and that might be where Armada's losing a lot of the time on this track, but maybe he just doesn't quite have that section figured out. Because the rest of it, I don't think he looks that bad. The rest of it, I think maybe it really is just that turn. I think he just doesn't have that turn figured out. And I mean, yeah, look, he makes big gains on Camby right there. I think Armada looks pretty solid. The rest of it, he's just losing so much time there, and not really much he could do. He's going to go into the pits here. I think Slaunch as well. Yes, Slaunch going for it too. That worked out pretty nicely. They don't cheese each other. That was very clean. Out of both of them, they have good distance in their pit stalls. Much to worry about there. Armada going for a very long pit. Get that out of the way. A couple drivers back here that went for their pits. Long early pits as well. Armada comes out right side by side with Soul. Okay, so let's get back to the lead pack and see what's going on there while some pit strategy action is going on. As you can expect, you always expect to see more of that in Moto 2, right? Like in Moto 2 with the invert and drivers all throughout the field and different situations, you always expect to see some more like wide variety of pit strategies. So that's Luke for second over Roman right there. Roman's still holding onto the podium here. And Roman in a good position right now for his battle, which is with Soul. And I went over it in the recap. Roman has to have a pretty significantly better night than Soul if he wants to clutch it out and take that position over him. So Roman's going to need to put on a good performance. He's absolutely going to need at least one podium and maybe a win. And maybe that could be on the cards as Hunter. Oh, Roman decides not to go in. Okay, Hunter goes in the pits like right in front of Roman, and I thought was going to force Roman in, but interestingly enough, Roman says fuck it and goes back on track. I thought he maybe would have just settled for it and been like, okay, well, I guess I'm pitting now. But no, doesn't do that. Actually makes the decision to go around the wall and get back on track. But Armada goes in, Fireball as well, who came out really close with Soul. And what's this here? This is, oh, wow, this is brutal. Detail probably does not want to see this. Hunter, it is Hunter, right? Yeah, it was Hunter because he cheesed. Wow, I just, like, it happened, but it just, like, didn't register that Hunter went with that lead, like, for such an early, like, heavy pit strategy right there. But he did, and he pulls out, like, right in front of Detail here, which is huge for Hunter. Not ideal for Detail because Detail is obviously going for a strategy where he goes back, you know, gets some clean air, and tries to use that to his advantage, tries to make gains that way, get his way back into the race as he didn't have as good of a start as Luke and Slaunch did. And this is obviously not going to help that. Hunter, you could tell, very defensive as he should be, trying to hold off the best that he can here in this position. Oh, but he does like the same mistake, essentially. But will he lose the spot is the question. Will he lose the spot? Oh, my God. Detail getting the wall there, too. Very aggressive defense from Hunter. Soul going in for his pit. Was it Slaunch? Looks like Slaunch went in for one as well. Yeah, very different pit strategies in this Moto 2. People are all over the place with it. Eventually, into turn 1, Detail will complete the pass, and I'm sure after that one, that's like a, whew, that's like one of those passes. Like, he gets by him, see what he can do now. Hunter, you know, obviously having a lot of issues on track, so I think holding him up a bit there. Hunter, while he's had, got to give him credit, a really good second half. The road courses in particular, he's still been up and down on. A lot of it's been on the ovals, and then the one street course as well. Lafayette, he was very good in Lafayette. You know, so definitely not his strong suit on this type of track. He's just trying to get the best that he can to hold on to that points position over Camby, which with his start to the night and where he is right now, I'd say he's doing a pretty good job of that. Camby probably in a position around this time where I would imagine he might need a freaking win at this point. Another pit. I hear a It's Camby in the pits. Speaking of Camby in the pits here. Where are we at the laps? Oh, wow. We still got quite a bit to go. Still got like 5 laps to go. There's still a lot of racing left. So with all the varying strategies and all the different stuff going down this moto, let's get an update. Take a look at everything, see where everybody's at, and try to get you guys back informed on it. Because like I said, there's a lot of different stuff at play in this Moto 2. This Moto 2 is a lot of different pit strategy. I didn't realize it at the time, but so much different stuff going on. So Luke's worked his way out to a lead here. It was between him and like Camby, I think. I think Camby got back into it, maybe Roman. But I want to say Camby and Roman. I don't know if they did both, but I mean, we saw Camby do it. Like, I want to say they both did at least like one pit. So Luke's gotten a big gap. With that, of course, they go in for the pits. He stays out. So he might be like the last one to pit at this point. Slaunch, I think, has done that. Detail, has done. He's right behind him as well, which is probably something that he likes to see. With Hunter, that he's still pretty close behind. And yeah, here it is. So I'm pretty sure this is Luke going in for first pit. And it was a quick one too, in and out. Probably just shot like a couple bullets. Camby going in. That'll for sure be Camby's second pit because, of course, we saw him do the end of that other one. Detail. Oh, let's peep it. Oh, it wasn't worth peep. Oh, okay. And this is another huge one. Detail trying to get all that he can out of the pits. Does he make it in box? He goes out. It's a quick second pit. Only needed like 3 bullets. Oh man, that is like on the line. That is like on the line. He might get away with that one. Interestingly enough, Detail does make those calls. So I'm gonna say that's in box. No, I'm trolling, but I think it is in box. That's about as close as you can get though. That's about as close as you can get. Literally just had like a freaking like an inch of both of his rear tires touching the line, like just enough. Quite convenient, and that's a distance that Detail has very good familiarity with because he's only got an inch. So it makes sense that he'd be able to time it and work it that precisely to just barely get his tires in the pit stall like that. Slaunch, meanwhile, oh, that was close. Slaunch, meanwhile, trying to make a pass on Roman here. Roman not having that. And Roman will go for a pit. Oh, another pit too? What's going on? Quick pause. Luke going in for the pit. So this is going to be the long pit. That's his last pit. Roman for his last pit as well. And you see Slaunch will definitely have second. Oh, wow. Where does Roman work out to? Dang, that's tough. Comes out behind Soul. Literally behind Soul, the person that he's trying to beat. Well, at least he has him in his sights. I mean, it's a bit of a gap, but at least he has him in his sights. I guess that's the positive there. But, I mean, that sucks that it worked out like exactly that way. So that early strategy, Soul and Fireball, like doing pretty well here. So as far as the top 3 goes, Slaunch is a lot closer than I thought he'd be. He's there. And there's not a lot of time left. It's getting to it now. It's about to be 2 to go. And not a lot of time left. So if anybody's going to compete for this win, it's Slaunch. And Slaunch would like to get it because it would keep his road course chip hopes alive. And honestly, it'd probably help Detail as well. So he's probably rooting for Slaunch in this position too, because for his road course chip hopes to stay alive as well. I think it's kind of one of those duo situations where, Slaunch taking this would actually be a good thing for Detail too. So definitely a big moment here because if Luke takes this, it takes 2. I would say the road course chip is probably locked up as well. But if Slaunch takes it, it might be spicy. So kind of hard to say. But that is the top 3 though. Luke, Slaunch, then Detail going into 2 to go. Yep, Fireball in 4th, so having a much better moto here. Soul running at the top 5. Roman in 6th. He's trying to get up there. Needs to get by Soul. Hunter in 7th. And wow, I love how Roman and Soul right with each other. Hunter and Camby right with each other. That's just great. Armada lurking behind. See if we can get up there too. But yeah, that's just great. I love how it's worked out. We have the road course championship contenders all in top 3. We have Hunter and Camby battling for like the on-track position that's like their points position, essentially. They're doing that right now. They're right with each other. And it looks like Roman is starting to make up a bit of ground onto Soul, and that's their battle too. That's their battle too. So I think it's really funny, this Moto 2, how everything's like kind of worked out like that. Like all the different micro battles that I've been talking about and that we've been following going into this night. In Moto 2 in particular, they're like all lined up with each other, which is hilarious. But there's not a whole lot of time left for this battling to go down. We're to the white flag already. So Luke going to take the white flag this time by right there. And Solange going to try to chase him down. I think that'll be the last hope. Detail's got, he's just kind of he's the one that's in no man's land. He's got a huge gap in front, huge gap behind. And that's, he'd probably be pretty happy with that because he loves gaps. Huge ones in particular. Fireball in 4th, and this will be a good finish for him because his comeback has been kind of, off the top of my head, I want to say like pretty up and down. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. But to be fair, it's hard to, I think he said it in his first night back, like, wow, the Hogs have a crazy gap, skill gap. Like, they do, and it's definitely a hard class to come back to. But you can see here already in his, like 3rd race back, already starting to get the hang of it. Like, obviously winning the heat race, starting on the pole. Obviously, the first Moto didn't go the way that he wanted, but he's on for a good comeback and a good top 5 in Moto 2, so I think that's pretty good for him. And yeah, it's tough. To be fair, it's tough. Like I think he's done a pretty good job considering like how hard it is to just like that was close to just like jump into the Hogs and perform. It's not easy. It's not easy. All right, so Moto 2. This will close it out. That was the strategy moto of the night. Usually that's like, or sometimes it's like Moto 1, but Moto 2 was the total strategy moto of the night. It's Luke, Slaunch, Detail, Fireball, Soul, Roman. Soul does beat Roman. I'm going to say that battle's probably finished off of that. Hunter beats Camby. I'm going to say that battle, I would imagine, is probably done and dusted as well. And Armada rounding out the field. It's funny how it was such a single wide across the line because the field as a whole felt a lot tighter, that moto, which is interesting. But yeah, one more time through it. Luke, Slaunch, Detail, Fireball, Soul, Roman, Hunter, Camby, Armada. And again, it's unfortunate because I think this moto, even though it was cool that all the battles were with each other, I think this battle might settle a lot of the extra battles. This moto might settle a lot of the extra battles that we had going on as well. Because, again, like Luke taking the second, well, I was already done in the first race, but that'll probably lock up the road course chip as well. For Slaunch and Detail to compete for that. Soul finishing ahead of Roman, second moto down. Like I think that probably locks that up. Hunter finishing right in front of Camby, I think that probably locks that up. Like all those micro battles, unfortunately, I want to say are probably locked up. So going into the Moto 3, it might make it a fun one. Because it's the last moto of the season. And there's nothing to lose. What happens when everybody's in that situation, right? Could get pretty spicy. So even though all the point stakes are off, if you want to see like some good racing action, I think it'll be there in Moto 3. And we have Coop returning. Let's go. All right, see you guys in Moto 3.